And then another screenshot was her saying fake news and don't delete my comment. And the video has since been deleted.
Oh my God, her PR team is working overtime.
Hello, clowns.
I'm Amee.
I'm Chen, and we're the hosts of Clown Vibes Podcast.
We're two best friends who get together to laugh and discuss a variety of topics.
From all things pop culture to navigating through adulthood as Asian Americans, and more with our own clown spin, of course.
We're so glad to have you here to clown around with us, and we hope you enjoy the episode. Hello, and good morning, clowns. Huge, how you feeling?
Good morning. Can you believe? Okay, I think I want to start this episode off like a Zoom meeting. So we have to talk about the weather. We have to talk about how fast the year has flown. The two main topics of any Zoom meeting.
And man, it's hot in Texas. And the mosquitoes are crazy. And I have this like freaking gnat or something, this one gnat that is killing me. I cannot kill it. I can't open the door to let it out because then so many mosquitoes will come in. And it just like buzzes around. And last night, it was like buzzing in my ear. And in my dream, something like flew into my ear, created a family. And I don't know how you can do that as one fly, but like whatever. Maybe they were already pregnant when they like landed in my ear. And then I just had this like fucking fly family in my ear, and I went to the doctor and they showed me it on the x-ray and they were like, ew, do you want to kill this poor family? And I was like, yeah, get it out of my freaking head. It was a tough dream.
Oh my gosh, are you okay? Like, are you mentally okay?
I'm not okay. I'm so unwell, clearly, and I thought I've been doing fine, but this dream was like psychotic. This is how much this fruit fly has been terrorizing me.
Okay, I have to tell you this, like, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's related to our main topic today. So, you know how Sofia Richie is like the biggest it girl right now? On TikTok, at least. And it's because, you know, she recently got married to Elliot Grange, and she had this like big, beautiful wedding in the south of France. And also she's just like recently revamped her whole look. She's like the queen of the clean girl aesthetic. Very, very different from when she like was dating Scott Disick. Like that was a completely different Sofia Richie than what we're getting now. And she's thriving. Yeah. And her PR team is doing such a great job.
Oh, for sure.
So I'm like literally scared to tell you this. I'm literally scared to tell you this because I was trying to dig up this TikTok that I found on this topic, and I can't find it anymore. I think I literally spent an hour on the internet trying to find this information and Googling it. I was like, did I just make this information up? So about a week ago, I saw this girl post a TikTok about how Sofia Richie was best friends with this girl, Abby, I think. And Abby used to be the ex-girlfriend of Elliot Grange. But her and Sofia no longer follow each other on Instagram. She wasn't at their wedding. Like, they're not in each other's lives, which is like, I think that's like pretty normal. Honestly, it's like weird if you date your best friend's ex-boyfriend.
100%. Wow.
And I don't know if they were best friends, but like they have pictures together. Like I've seen the pictures of them together, and why I'm like so scared to tell you this is because the video has since been removed. I went into Reddit on like pop culture Reddit to look for this, and someone had screenshotted that Sofia commented fake news. Okay. And then another screenshot was her saying fake news and don't delete my comment. And the video has since been deleted.
Oh my God, her PR team is working overtime to make sure that this info does not see the light of day.
It is not seeing the light of day. And I thought like more posts would be about this. I literally thought I made it up. Like it was like a fever dream. But like there's no information. I looked up Elliot Grange, ex-girlfriend, Sofia Richie's ex-best friend. Zero information. And now I'm worried, like, her PR team is going to come for us. But guys, we don't have a lot of followers. So let me just speak my piece here. And okay, so the TikTok's whole, like, claim was, like, Sofia stole her ex-best friend's man, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But even if it was fake news, they were friends at some point. Like, there are photos of them together that are since been deleted. I also scrolled through Sofia's Instagram trying to find this. Cannot. So the photos have been deleted. And it is real that they don't follow each other. So at least some of that is based in fact.
No, this is a cover-up if I've ever seen one. And I 100% believe it. And I would like to commend your investigative research skills.
I was literally so stressed.
Sofia Richie's PR team, if you want to come for us, come for us. We would love some free press.
Also, if you want to be on our podcast, we'd love to have you as a guest.
Let us know. You guys, last night we spent like, I don't know, an hour thinking of people that we could get on the podcast and cold DMing them like delusional people. We were like, oh, less than 1 million followers? They'll definitely reply to us.
I checked this morning. No one has responded.
Okay, but to be fair, we sent it pretty late at night and it's only been like 10 hours, so
they're, like taking their time to craft a response to us. They're looking at their schedules.
Exactly. They're listening to Clown Vibes to be like, do we fit the mold? And I appreciate their research.
Okay, you know how there is Hot Girl Summer? What was last summer? Was last summer also Hot Girl Summer? I don't think it was.
It was the Do It for the Plot Summer.
Oh, Do It for the Plot Summer, right. Should this summer be Delulu Summer?
Oh, for sure. Remember we did the one-word thing? But I did the one-word thing with my therapist, but I did one for each quarter, and this is my delusional quarter.
Love it. All right, let's get into our main topic today. So as I had teased, our main topic today is about friendship breakups. I feel like I'm an expert at friendship breakups. Amee here is more of a bystander, but she has like kind of been with me through all of my friendship breakups. And so we thought we would just discuss this. But as we were like talking about, friendship breakups in general, one thing that has like really stood out to us is like, first of all, why do friendship breakups hurt more than romantic breakups? And why are they not talked about as much as romantic breakups? Like, you could find a million videos on how to deal with
for sure
a romantic breakup, but there is like so little resources on people talking about their experiences with friendship breakups, to the point where it's like almost a little bit taboo, I would say. Like, people are kind of scared to talk about their friendship breakups. I would say it's like even more quote unquote embarrassing than romantic breakups.
Oh, for sure.
All right, so I have a question for you actually, because I actually did this the other day. Do you ever stalk people that you're no longer friends with, or that you used to be close to? You might still be friends, but like you're not really close to anymore. Like, do you stalk them on Instagram?
The thing is, I don't even need to stalk them. I'm on Instagram 24/7. I'm seeing it in real time. And I can't think of like a moment where I'm doing that because I am just seeing it when it's happening.
Okay, interesting. Well, I don't know. I have like certain people blocked, muted on Instagram just because I get like so annoyed by certain content. And it's not like any hate towards like that person. It just means like maybe their content is a little bit triggering for me on social media. And for my sake, I need to mute that. Anyways, I find that there's like a couple of groups that I tend to quote unquote stalk, and we're going to do an entire episode on stalking soon. So this is just like a little teaser for it, but there's definitely a few people that like I used to be closer to that I no longer am. And I just have this tendency to once in a while check in on them on social media and see like what they're up to. And like internally, I'm just like, why do I have this like natural desire? And sometimes it's just like this natural tendency to like want to know if they're doing all right after
Yeah.
your friendship breakup, or
For sure.
distancing, drifting. But another is just like, am I doing better than them? I think like us as humans, we're always so wired to compare our lives.
Yeah.
And especially when a friendship breakup is hurtful or it wasn't very amicable, I feel like there's always this innate desire to want to kind of one up them. And I feel like social media has really kind of pressured or given us the environment to do that.
Yeah, agreed. I see on TikTok every once in a while, like, people call the people that they're stalking, they're like Neopets. It's like, time to check on my Neopets. Like, hope they're okay.
I have a couple of Neopets for sure. Will I ever expose who my Neopets are? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't
if
think
someone
you should.
pays us $5,000, I'll expose it.
Yeah, someone pay us. Like, it's juicy info and we need a computer.
Okay, so as we were thinking about the different types of friendship breakups, I feel like not all friendship breakups are created equally, right?
Yeah, I think there's a scale of more like natural drifting to a dramatic situation that caused the breakup. But I have a question for you. Do you think drifting, it constitutes like a friend breakup, or is it just like life happening and you guys are just not as close as you were?
I think drifting can be a friendship breakup. Like, for example, I think it really depends on if either one or both of the individuals will ever hang out with each other again. Because I've like drifted from my like ex-roommate from college, but like if she were to ever hit me up, I'd be like, yeah, sure, let's hang out. But then there are other people that I've drifted from more so intentionally, and that's like our next bucket. But I've had like an intentional drift from them, and I feel like if they were to reach out, I wouldn't really care to hang out with them, or I would never like reach out to them.
Yeah, so basically unintentional drifting is not a friendship breakup, but if there's any type of intention behind it, we'll count it.
Right. And I think that goes into like our next two qualifiers. So there's intentional breakups where you've had enough and it's just time to move on from the friendship. And then there's unintentional breakup, and there might be like external factors playing into why you're breaking up or drifting apart. But for the most part, it's usually circumstantial and you still have that like relationship. It just might not be as strong anymore. And you go from like being friends to being more of acquaintances.
Yeah. You know what I feel like I've had a lot of unintentional drifting with is old coworkers who when you're in the thick of it with those people, you talk to them all the time. Like most of the time I talk to them more than you just because I'm, at work 8 hours a day. And then when you like leave that job or you leave that project, it's really hard to keep that connection going. And it's very like interesting, but also kind of sad.
I also think something similar is high school friends or like friends that you've grown up with. All right, so I think what would be really fun is, I don't know if this is fun, relive my traumas of friendship breakups.
Okay.
But I have three that are like very distinct to me. One is the one that hurts the most. The second one is the one that should have ended sooner. And the third is the one that I like learned the most from in that situation. And I'd love to get your like feedback on the experience. Relive it with me.
Okay.
And let's just like talk about each situation.
This gnat just flew by me. That's my enemy number one. Anyway, go ahead.
You're about to go through a friendship breakup with the gnat. I feel it.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so the first one, the one that hurt the most, let's just call her Emma. And it's so funny because I'm going to hide their names for, their personal sake. But anyone who knew me at this time will know who this is. Like each situation, I've given them a fake name, but like it would be so obvious to you if you knew me during that time. Okay, So Emma, we have been family friends since as long as I can remember. Like I met her at her like 8-year-old birthday party and we became like really fast friends. We were interested in the same hobbies. We were really into art. We took art classes together. She was 1 year younger than me and a grade below me, but we would always like hang out on the weekends, have extracurriculars together. And I think like one dynamic that really contributed to our closeness, but also our friendship breakup is how she's just 1 year younger than me. We were also in like a community where there weren't a ton of Asian girls in our like friendship group. It was mostly Asian boys. So we were the ones that were the only girls. We had similar hobbies. And with that comes a lot of comparison across like,
for sure,
with the Asian community. Like that's just how it is. And she was always, I think, compared to me in academics, in athletics, in hobbies. And although I think like we as individuals are very, very different to our core. I think what's difficult growing up as Asian is you are kind of stripped down to like what you do, the grades you earn, the hobbies you have.
Definitely.
And I think that can be like really difficult.
And it's only the things that like Asian culture values. She is so good at so many other things that are just not valued in Asian culture, which is so difficult, especially when you're growing up. Like these are your formative years and they're telling you like, you're not good enough because you're good at other things, not the things they want you to be good at.
So everyone's always like known her and me as like, she's basically my little sister. We were on the same tennis team together. We were in art classes together. I always thought she was like better at art. To this day still is, but like she's so talented. But I think what was difficult towards the end of high school was she had a boyfriend during her junior year, my senior year. I knew this guy. He was in our tennis team program. And they had a breakup after dating for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 months. A relatively short amount of time, but this was also, I think, her first boyfriend. And what was really, really difficult was that he kind of moved on from her to another girl pretty quickly. Okay, I'm going to pause there because I think that is a really big factor into like what happened afterwards. But wanted to get your perspective of people moving really fast. Like as an adult, do you think you would have an easier time handling it than you would as a high schooler? Because I feel like in any situation that would hurt.
Oh, for sure. And literally any situation that would hurt. No matter how evolved you are, no matter how much you're like, maybe like you got over it really fast too, it always hurts. Because of comparison. You know what I mean? Like the comparing factor of it is like, what's the most hurtful?
Yes, exactly. The comparison part. And that led her to compare her body to the body of the new girl. And the body of the new girl, she has always been extremely skinny. Like more skinny than I would think is the natural athletic build, like just giving the audience a visualization here. And Emma, unfortunately, started to develop an eating disorder at that time, and I didn't really know it. I mean, I kind of heard about it. She told me a little bit about it, but you have to remember that like we were still in high school then, and I didn't know what an eating disorder really was. Like we knew, but we kind of didn't. And so this was the first time that I think everyone in this situation was kind of dealing with it. And of course, as a friend, you want to help, but looking back, I really did not know how to help. Honestly, to this day, I still don't know how to help directly with an eating disorder, but that was like a really unfortunate turn of events. And from the situation, there was self-harm and a lot of body issues, mental health issues associated with it. And I'm so glad that she and her parents were really supportive of her during that time and got her professional help. But of course, like it takes time and they weren't seeing progress. At one point, her mom basically approached our family and asked our family to basically help Emily. But
help how?
Exactly. I don't really know what she wanted out of it. Of course, like I wasn't in those conversations between her mom and my dad, but like when my dad came to talk to me, he explained the situation. And like, wow, looking back, I'm just like, as a parent, I would not know what to do in that situation either. Like, how do you tell your kid
For sure.
that, like, hey, your best friend has an eating disorder and we need to help her? But basically, he was like, let's invite Emma to our home to eat. We're gonna cook like really great meals for her. Like, let's just make her feel loved and welcomed, which is probably the most that you can do. But
Yeah.
my parents are notorious for like not telling me anything except like bare bone minimum of what I need to know. And so that is like what we did. But looking back, I almost feel like her mom should not have put that pressure on like my family and like especially me. I don't know. What are your
Agreed.
thoughts about like this entire part of the story?
I think like I understand. It's kind of like a desperation, right? You're like, how can I help my daughter? Naturally, you would be like, oh, her best friend is probably like one of the people that could get through to her the easiest, like, whatever. I need help. I don't know what to do. But in a normal situation, like outside looking in, it's a lot. It's a lot to put on other people. And had she come to you guys and said, hey, can you help do X, Y, and Z, this exact thing, and then you guys say like yes or no, it would have been different than just being like, we need help in this situation that you guys have not gone through either. Like, it's such a sensitive situation and everyone responds so differently. Like, I would not know what to do. Even right now, I would be like, I don't know. I would just try to be as supportive as possible.
Looking back, I think that I would not have put so much pressure on myself. I really put a ton of pressure on myself to really be supportive of her, especially after we went to college and she ended up coming to the same college as me and studying the same thing as me, which I think also kind of contributed to our rift because I was like, you know, studying business and I had made this path myself. But I think in a way she was just following what she thought was like the right path for her. And because I was always an older person, she just like followed in this path. And I don't think she really like allowed herself to explore what was really best for her. But of course, like her freshman year, my sophomore year, the transition from being in high school to college can be really, really difficult. And in many ways, like there were a lot of times that I was really frustrated with her internally. And I sometimes like blame myself for being a little bit more snippy with her, being bitchy with her on like certain things that she was like doing or telling me, because like this whole situation, not her eating disorder thing, but just like her overall attitude and like view on life was just very mentally and exhausting for me to take on.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what I was feeling either. And so like the ultimate breakup was, I think one day she was, you know, expressing that she was feeling lonely and I was like trying to help her with that. And then like I saw on Instagram that she had like gone to like an event with a friend or something. So I was like kind of joking. I was like, oh haha, like college isn't so lonely, right? And she replied, Yuchen, you know, you're such a bitch sometimes. And honestly, I think I was probably a little bit too snappy with her, and she was probably feeling like very, very sensitive.
Yeah.
But that really triggered something in me to the point where, like, I felt like I was not appreciated. Like, I don't think she truly understood how much emotional toll that I took on trying to be a supportive friend. And, you know, why would she know? But also, it's hard because I feel like she is in her own little world and I'm in my own little world. And what's difficult with certain friendships is you have to be cognizant of each other's energy. And at that point, it was not working out.
Yeah.
And I had basically like sent her a text saying like, I feel like you're really not appreciative of like all of these little things that I'm doing. It's not intentional that I'm like hurting you. I truly don't remember what I said. I probably didn't say it in the most like friendly and empathetic way. I completely recognize that, but literally she never responded. A few like days later, I like called my dad crying. Like I was just like, I think like we're no longer friends. And I thought he would be more surprised, but he was literally so chill about it. And I will forever cherish the advice that he gave me. But he was like, you're only 21. You're going to meet so many new people in your life that are going to have much more of an impact on you, and that you're going to get along with them so much better. And to be honest, I truly do not agree with the way that Emma has been handling all these situations and the impact that she's made on her family. Like, I think she's handling it in a very, very selfish way. And that was kind of the conclusion that I had gotten to on my own, in my own head, and what like brought a ton of frustration. But to hear like an adult reach that same conclusion was really reassuring. After that falling out, she ended up dropping out of school, pursuing like a whole nother field. And I add that piece of tidbit because I think like at the time of our friendship breakup was kind of a culmination of like her exploring her individuality, coming to terms with like what she wanted to reject from her like upbringing, and like her embracing this new part of her. And I think I was very much representative of this like old part of her that she like no longer really wanted to be a part of. This is all my speculation though. Like, I truly don't know from her perspective.
Man, it's tough because these are such intense, heavy things that you guys are both going through at such a young age. Like, you did the best you could. She was probably doing the best she could. And it's just one of those like unfortunate situations where it's just a lot and you have to get through it however you can.
Let's move on to the next one, Teresa, the one that should have ended sooner. I always laugh about this one because it's such like a WTF situation, and you were there for like all of it. But essentially, we were instantly friends. We became friends during the summertime, during my like summer internship here actually in the Bay Area, where I didn't know a lot of people, but there was such like an instant connection. And I feel like summertime friends are very different from like friends you meet in your normal day-to-day. You're kind of like in a haze where like you immediately like latch onto them, but the scenario is different because, right, like after we return from our summer internships, we are back in our normal day-to-day lives. She lived out here in California. I lived out here I was in Austin, and then I was doing internships in New York. But I think what was the catalyst for this breakup was she's just a different type of girl than I am. She wanted a different type of friendship from us, where I think she thought we were a lot closer than I was, and we had also like very different expectations of that friendship, where like she was also a year younger than me, which I think contributed to the dynamic, but she was always like trying to figure a lot of things out that I personally thought were like really easy scenarios. So I would like talk her through them, but she would never like take any of my advice. So at that point I'm just like, then why are you asking me for them? Like, it's honestly labor intensive to listen to your scenarios, explain those scenarios back to you, and for you to just like not take them, which is fine. But I think the growing pain from my end was I felt the relationship was so one-sided, in which it was always her issues.
And you know what is like, now thinking back, is like you guys texted all the time, and you do not text that much. You really have to like change your natural state of being to accommodate her in so many ways.
So many ways. I mean, I feel like this is a bit mean to say, but I think she was a very needy friend, to the point where like, it's not something that like I could provide for her. Being in a long distance friendship, I was doing internships. I had this core memory of like being in Thailand because I was traveling and she was in New York for this internship, and I would just wake up from like 50 texts from her every night, and it was always about this boy that she had a crush on in her internship, but it turns out that like he had a girlfriend, and she would just be in these situations where I felt like she was very delusional, honestly. And like, I could see it, but how do you tell your friend that you're being delusional in every aspect of dating? Or they weren't even dating, they were just co-workers. I guess I could tell you, but like, you would take it different. Well. Like, But in my like 5 week of traveling, she not once really like asked me how my travels were, or like were super considerate of the fact that like I was doing something else. Like, it just always felt like it was about her and her problems.
Oh my god, you know what? I, for some reason, thought you cut it off way earlier than when you traveled, and now I'm like,
No, we
upset that
did.
you didn't.
We did, because we had a
Okay,
friendship
okay.
breakup, got back together,
Oh my god.
and then had a drift apart. But I think it's a friendship breakup. But let me tell you about the official friendship breakup, because this should have been a red flag to me, and I should have like ended it there. But I remember I was going into a very important office hour with a professor, and she was going to like meet up with this guy at this coffee shop who she thought had like a crush on her. I don't know. But she had like apparently called me during my office hours, and I didn't pick up because I was speaking with the professor. And afterwards I had like tried to like call her back, text her back. I also had an exam that day, so I was busy.
God.
And she just never replied. She basically flat out ghosted me, and that really hurt. I remember talking to my friend about this, and I was just like, I don't understand what's going on. But she had reached out like months later and tried to rekindle the friendship, and she was like, I was mad at you because you didn't pick up, and I could have been in a really scary situation with this guy, and I just felt like you didn't have my back.
How were you supposed to know that? That's such a made up scenario.
If you were in a scary situation in a public coffee shop, call the police. Like, get the barista. Like, don't call your long distance friend trying to get you to like safety. Like, that makes no sense.
Literally, what the fuck are you supposed to do from Texas? That's like so unhinged. It's now coming back to me, and I can't believe that happened. Like, she was so immature.
And the second scenario that she like explained was, she's like, I feel like you're always trying to make plans. Like, you were trying to make spring break plans with your friends and you never invited me.
Weird. Like, you guys weren't best friends like that. It's not like you knew her forever.
Exactly. Okay. But so we ended up getting back together. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm talking about it as if it's like a romantic relationship, but it was. And like the second go around, it never works. You should never get back together with a friend, because you just have all these icks that you've like developed. And I was also, I think I matured a lot during our last year of college, and I moved to New York, and she was still in school, and she was trying to get into a PhD program. And this was just kind of like the penultimate, like, I've had enough. So she was trying to apply for her school program, and she had this professor that for like 2 years, she thought he had like a crush on her. She would send me these screenshots of these emails that he had sent her throughout like their entire professional relationship. And she would make me like give commentary on it, like assess the situation. And you know what? I should not have entertained that. I should not have entertained that at all. But like, she was so fixated on the fact that this professor was in love with her, and I thought she was being delusional. But what was really difficult and ultimately left to our breakup, but we actually just like drifted apart, to be honest. I think she tried to ghost me again, and I was just like, I didn't care at that point. But the professor literally reported her to student services for inappropriate behavior. And when this happened, she was literally like so shocked and like mad about it. He cited the fact that like she had left a thank you card, or like a card on his door, and like didn't sign it, and he had like cited that, and she was like, how did he know it was me? And I'm just like, if you didn't think the behavior was sus, why didn't you leave your name off of it? But she was really upset about the situation, that she hired a lawyer. She literally hired a lawyer to deal with the situation. And that was the point where I was just like, this is too much. But I think she could tell I was like really frustrated with the situation.
Yeah.
To be honest, like looking back, I should have removed myself officially, but I didn't. And she also was like so upset that she was like, he needs to write my recommendation letter. And I was literally trying to get to her head that like, you should not be suing him for not wanting to write your recommendation letter.
That's not a suable offense.
everything about this situation, I hate to say this, but like it just sounds absolutely delusional to me. She would send me these long block texts explaining herself. And like, this is why I call her the one that should have ended sooner, because I don't think I think I should have just like removed myself from the situation. Like I put myself too deep.
Yeah.
Thank God it ended.
After the ghost, it should have been done. It's hard though to let go. I mean, I am the queen of never letting go, so I fully get it.
I feel like I'm the queen of allowing relationships, both romantic and friendships, to last way longer than they should have.
Yeah.
I don't know why, like, we as girls, humans, think it's friendships should last forever. We should teach this in school, honestly. This last scenario that I'm going to talk about, Cindy, it was the one that was, like, I think I felt the most relieved about and, like, the most mature about. And this is the one where she was my manager on one of my first projects in consulting, and we like became work friends immediately, but also became outside friends immediately. Like we would go to workout classes together, and if I had learned anything from the situation, it's that I will never be this close to my manager again.
Do you remember when we went to Spain and in the hostel you were FaceTiming her? And that was the first time I really realized how close you guys were. And I was like, what's going on?
Oh my gosh. I forgot that we stayed at a hostel. Like,
yeah.
Whoa.
That's a story for another time, but
yeah, so we were really close, and we developed this like little sister, big sister relationship that I think also just did not work well for us because there was quite a big age gap between us. I was like 23, 24 at the time, and she had just turned 40. So it was
I didn't realize she was so old.
Big age gap.
Yeah, that's a very big age gap.
And I didn't realize at the time, but like even throughout like the early parts of our relationship, I think there were what I would call little microaggressions coming from her that I didn't really know what was going on. For example, like we had left a meeting and we went to Chipotle and we were just eating Chipotle, and she was sitting across from me and she was like, "You have a lot of blackheads. You should fix that." And then she was just like, "I would never say this to anyone, but like as like an older sister, like you should really get that fixed." And that made me really self-conscious. Obviously I did fix my blackheads, but looking back at the situation, who in the right mind would say that in that like delivery?
First of all, your manager. Second of all, someone you had not known that long to say that to you so abruptly in a fucking Chipotle.
Exactly.
Savage.
But eventually, like a year in, obviously, like I was very unhappy with my job in consulting, and I would talk to her about this, you know, as kind of like a mentor too. And I think she like took that a little bit too seriously, you know, like in a lot of instances, like when we were talking as just friends, she would always insert herself in a position where she was in a position of power and like trying to give me advice when I didn't need it. Like if I was talking about something like super random, she would completely ignore it and say like, "Did you send Tamika a thank you note?" Like in a very like managerial big sister way. And everything at the end of our relationship felt like she was trying to like sister me too much, or like I know life better than you too much. But I had asked her to get brunch like right before I moved to San Francisco. And, you know, I was like talking about my new job and how much I liked it. And then, you know, I was kind of expressing like, "Oh, I'm a little bit worried about like these things." And she's just like, "Why are you so worried? You don't even have like a budget to take care of. Like, this isn't serious." Like, she was essentially saying like, everything I'm saying is meaningless. And then I was like really taken aback by what she was saying. And I was like chewing. And then she's like, "Oh my gosh, you have food stuck in your teeth. You always do that. It's so gross." And I literally in my head, I was just like, what the fuck is actually going on? Because who in their right mind would say this in public?
God, and in such a mean way.
In such a mean way. There's no explanation for why someone her age should be saying all of these things to me when like I was being very vulnerable and expressing like, some things I'm concerned about. And she was just like belittling me. Like, there's no other way to describe it, but she was belittling me.
Yeah.
And, looking back, I had already planned to kind of like drift apart from her, but like, I felt so uncomfortable. No one has ever put me in that position, in such uncomfy position before. And I was just like, I've had enough. So I sent her a text basically explaining like, that really hurt my feelings. You said like this and this, and I really like didn't think that was fair. And she was just like, sorry I hurt your feelings. Have a good life. Essentially, in like a somewhat nicer way, but she essentially said like, have a good life. And I was upset for that. I mean, remember I called you?
Yeah,
about it,
I remember.
And I was like really upset, but I was upset for like one day, and then I got over it.
Yeah.
And that's on growth. Like, there were so many moments where I was just like, she's always trying to put me down, and I think it's a lot from like her internal struggles that she had, that she
insecurities,
insecurities that she was just trying to like push onto me. And I think I just like have grown too much to really care, to feel upset about that.
To wrap this up, why do you think that these friendship breakups hurt so much more than romantic breakups?
I think it's because romantic breakups, you kind of know it might not work. Like, we're not that delusional where we think like the first person that we date, every single person we're gonna date is ultimately going to end up being the person that we're with forever. And also with monogamy, you only know that one person is going to work. But with friendships, like when you become really good friends with someone, like of course you think that you're gonna be friends with them forever.
For sure.
And so it's just like comes as like such, you feel like you're getting hit by a train when these friendship breakups happen. But I mean, I gotta tell you, the more you deal with them, the less scary it becomes. So the first friendship breakup you have, I swear to God, we're gonna be celebrating. Like, I'm gonna make this such a moment for you.
Thanks so much for listening. You can follow us on all social media at Clown Vibes Podcast or email us at clownvibespodcast@gmail.com. And if you like our show and want to support us, please like, subscribe, and give us a rating and review. That's it for today. Bye, clowns.
Bye, clowns.